I think we all have a way of making sense of the world. During the night, I'm always constructing the lines of latitude and longitude out in space and putting together these great metallic, non-metallic pipes into these fittings that go plong and vibrate with these magical sounds. But this is the way I make sense of the world, with the lines of latitude and longitude. So one night I had a dream that I could see beyond the veil, and it showed up in grids, it showed up in squares, and I could see beyond the veil by walking around the veil, by looking through the veil, and by looking at a reflection of myself in the veil. And I thought, even during the night, okay, I have to recreate this artwork. So the next day I was invited to a show in Japan, and they asked me to bring my work, and they said, how big is it? And I said, 4 feet by 4 feet. And they said, can you make it bigger? And I said, oh yeah. So it was 13 feet by 13 feet on 2 sides, so black, white, and mirror. And so with grids, and the other piece was another piece of artwork that I found that I had made, a 3-dimensional chart of the Chesapeake Bay. This is in Kyoto, where you can see through a grid, or where I see grids everywhere, and I capture them with a photograph, and I just take one picture and that's it. So you can look inside and outside. Here are 3 pictures in Kyoto of windows, and window is a derivation from the Old English word windhole. So these are all wind holes that are covered in various degrees of rustic or more formal wood. The one on the left is a grid of a well cover in Kyoto, and this is the police station in Nagoya, Japan. Both external. These are internal grids. The left one is the wall at Mitsukoshi department store. It kind of looks like a Burberry wall. And this is a ceiling, the one on the right, of the airport in Hokkaido, of the Kushiro airport. And Kushiro was famous for its cranes. More ceiling presentations of grids. The left is lanterns in a Buddhist temple. The right are graphic designs filtering a skylight in Symphony Hall in Tokyo. And the right is in the ceiling in the Opera House in Tokyo. Grids show up in retail establishments. On the left, that's a display of socks. I don't know if yellow is especially popular and they sell out, or there's not much call for it. But socks are big because you always take your shoes off. You need socks without holes. And in the restaurant, here are bell jars, mason jars. On the left is a restaurant, and that's the name of the restaurant in 3 beautiful fiber art banners. And on the right is a display in a fan museum in Kyoto. Grids show up in glass and in mirror. In the left, there is a mural made of glass in a Tokyo hallway outside a banquet hall. And on the right, that's a configuration of mirrors at Logan Airport in Boston. I also find order in circles. The circle on the left is a mosaic that was in Nagoya, which is the ceramics capital of Japan, and notice it's on a grid of squares. And on the right is a banquet table for a New Year's Eve celebration. It was a Buddhist celebration, very sedate, and these are all tent tops, which brings us to food. The left is figs at a produce stand outside of a train station, and the right is the buffet plate of a friend of mine who is an animator in Japan, and he worked on The Little Mermaid, so he sees grids and circles too. These are all samples of student art in Nagoya, and here are circles in grid patterns, vertical and circular, and on a diagonal. On the left are imari bowls with covers in a museum in Nagoya, and on the right are student work. Students have to create 20 cups a day until they start to look like they were formed in a mold. And all of these are pictures that I didn't realize were all in grid form until I needed a theme. On the left are something called tsubas, T-S-U-B-A, and they are, I always take pictures of these in Japan. I love them. I don't own any yet. I thought they were buckles, but they're the metal part that separates the blade of the sword from the handle to protect your hand. Here are art materials before and after. These are mortar and pestles with ceramic glazes, and on the right, art by children in a school. More configurations of grids, and here are grids with curves and spirals and spins. Tokyo is the biggest city in the world ever. It has the most people per square inch, most buildings per square inch. So a lot of the buildings are very tall. They have to go up because they can't go out. This is the skylight in Osaka, and this is grids within circles and circles within grids. It looked to me like a spaceship landing. And the fusion of all my grids and circles is my website, peacegrid.com. And I'm on the grid, you're on the grid. If I feel good, you feel good, the influence spreads. I plan on winning the Nobel Peace Prize, just so everyone knows that it's really important to spread the good feeling, because that's how peace happens. Thank you.